Hello and welcome to today's show. We're going to talk about QQQ today. You're seeing a 2-hour chart of QQQ. QQQ consolidated around 314 for a couple of days and then started to move higher. Today was a very strong day. It was up 1.77% and it has gone through this area of resistance. Now there is a gap here. It has now started to close that gap. So the top of the gap is around 323, which would be the next area of resistance. Above that would be 326. And support is around 308. Now obviously Fed Chairman Powell is going to speak tomorrow. And if the market reacts positively to his comments, then we can see this gap being filled completely. But if the reaction is negative, then we might have a pullback, break this support and move towards this 314 area. Ideally, it should not break the 314. That would show weakness. So we'll see how the market reacts to Chairman Powell's comment. If we look at the daily chart of QQQ, just to get an idea of the big picture, you can see that it traded between the daily 20 and 50 for 3 days, and today it closed above the daily 20. So this is definitely a positive sign ahead of Fed Chairman's comments. RSI found support around the 50 level. It found support here too. It's now started to move higher, which is good. Stochastic is still in oversold area. It's now making a turn here, so that indicates that there is still room to the upside. Obviously the first target would be to overcome the previous high, which is around 335. Many times you'll see that after a pullback, stock or an index doesn't go up to the previous high. It makes a lower high and then falls again. So we want to be prepared for that. So that's why the first goal would be to take out the previous high. If it takes out the previous high, it shows that the momentum is still strong. And after that, we'd have to, QQQ will have to deal with the 200-day moving average. As you can see, the 200-day moving average was a problem here in April, as well as right here in February. So, if it rises, it would then come back to and test the 200-day moving average. But that's a little bit down the road. The first goal is to get back to the previous high and overtake that one. Moving on to SPY then, just have a quick look at the short-term picture first. So this is the 2-hour chart of SPY. Again, SPY also had a very good day. It has now gone through this area. It's now started to close this gap right here. The top of the gap is around 422 right here. So again, if the market reaction to tomorrow's comments from Chairman Powell is positive, we can expect SPY to close this gap. But if the reaction is negative, then support would be around 412, then around 410 area. If we look at the daily chart of SPY, we'll see again, similar to QQQ, traded below the daily 20 for 3 days and then today closed above. So positive sign, that's good. RSI finding support at the 50 level and it's now moving up. Stochastic is still in the oversold level and it's now turning to the upside. So that suggests that we may have a little bit more to the upside. Obviously the challenge would be to overcome this 200-day moving average. Backed off this level last week, so this level would be important. But overall it's looking quite positive at the moment. If we look at 10-year, so the 10-year we talked about yesterday, today it fell almost 8 ticks and moved below this area. Yesterday we did mention that stochastic was overbought, so there was possibility of some pause RSI was also reaching an overbought level. MACD is crossing. Now again, we'll have to see what happens tomorrow, whether or not it pulls back further or whether it continues to move higher. The moving averages have started to move higher, so that's not ideal. We want the moving averages to tick down and yields to come down, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll get a better read on what happens going forward after tomorrow. If we look at the dollar, so we look at dollar here. I think it's we look at the 2-hour chart of dollar. This is a 2-hour chart of dollar, and you can see DXY. DX broke this 2-hour uptrend line. It also has started to make a lower high now, but this is happening on a smaller time scale. But it is interesting that it is showing some weakness here. But if we look at the daily chart, we're not seeing any breakdown in the overall technical picture. The moving averages are still moving higher. MACD is moving higher. RSI has started to pull back a little bit. Again, I think dollar is going to react to tomorrow's comments by Fed chairman. But it is worth noting that RSI and MACD are making lower highs, even though price has gone to new high. Looking at US oil, we'll look at oil in this one. So we'll look at the daily chart. So this is the daily chart of US oil. Yesterday we talked about this 95 level. This level was a problem today. It backed off. But overall, it still has an overall positive pattern. It's got a double bottom, but again, it needs to get through this level. If it fails to do that, then we may revisit some of the lows. But we'll see what happens over the next day or so, whether or not after this pullback today, it's able to reclaim this level. If we look at the momentum indicators, stochastic has now reached the overbought area, so there is some consolidation likely for dollar. So we'll see how dollar behaves over the next day or two. That'll give us a good idea of whether or not it wants to break out or whether it consolidates between this level, which is around 85 and 95. If we look at VIX, so VIX, we've been talking about this 24 level, which is an area of resistance. So it's been backing off from that level. So it dropped over 4% today. So near-term support is this level, 21.50-ish, and below there, obviously, the previous low, which is around 19.50. So again, we'll have to wait and see what happens tomorrow, because all the markets are going to move, including VIX. But at this point, this resistance, this area is a problem. So we'll see whether or not it can overcome this 24 area. If it does, then we'll look to around 27.50. If it fails, and then if the reaction is negative tomorrow, then we could see it moving back to the previous lows again. So that's VIX. Let's have a quick look at some of the sectors which were doing well today. We'll start off with XLK. So XLK, it found support at this level. So this was the previous high from in June, early June. So it pulled back to this level, and now it bounced off that level. So this is looking positive. It is acting technically. It's holding support, which is basically what you want to see. Then XLB also had a good day. So it too has been bouncing from support. So big candle here, up 2.27. The standout there was PPG. So here's PPG. If you look at so if you look at PPG, it has broken through this area of resistance. So the next area of challenge would be this high 137. So it would be this level, 137.50. So this was one of the leaders within the XLB space. If we look at the Chinese stocks had a good day. So this is KWB. So if you look at KWB, it consolidated at this level and then it broke through this area of resistance. So this is the next area, which is around 31. If it gets through this 31, then it could move up to this previous high. So this was a big mover today, the Chinese stocks. So that's KWeb for you. Next one is the cyber security sector. So that also had a good day. It pulled back to this area of support and then it's been bouncing off this level. So stocks like CrowdStrike and Datadog, they were leading the sector higher. So this sector also had a good day. So obviously this would be the resistance, which is the previous swing high. So it could challenge this level if the market reaction is positive tomorrow. Another sector that did very well would be the semiconductor sector. So let's have a look at, zoom out a little bit so you can see. So this is basically what it looks like. So maybe we'll look at a 2-hour chart so you can. So it formed a base right here. It's been consolidating right at this level, which was a support zone, and then it started to move higher. Today it closed above this area of resistance and it closed the gap. So there is this downtrend on a 2-hour basis that it needs to negotiate, and if it's able to get through there, then technical picture would start to improve, and then obviously this area 425 would be this. So then it can negotiate. If it's able to get through this downtrend, then it can negotiate this resistance, and overcoming this area would be quite positive. So this was a mover in today's trading. That's all for today. Thank you very much for watching the video.